So I would be remiss if I did not do a video, once again, as I always do every year, about Hanukkah. Well, what is Hanukkah and when is it celebrated? Well, here in the Hebrew calendar, you will notice in the month of Kislev, that would be the 9th month on the Hebrew calendar. All right? And it starts in the evening of the 24th of Kislev. All right? So you can see it right here in the evening. It starts in the evening of the 24th of Kislev. And it goes for 8 days. Now, let's do it. Just a little bit of background here. I'll use Wikipedia today. Hanukkah, also known as the Festival of Lights, it is observed for 8 nights and 8 days, starting on the 25th. They got it wrong. See, Wikipedia can't get it right, but you saw it on the calendar. You see it. It is on the 24th, in the evening of the 24th. So it starts on the 24th. Alright. 25th day of Kislev according to the Hebrew calendar, which may occur at any time from late November to late December in the Gregorian calendar. The festival observed by lighting candles of a candelabrum with 9 branches, commonly called a menorah or Hanukkah. One branch is typically placed above or below the others, and its candle is used to light the other 8 candles. This unique candle is called a shamash, or attendant. Each night, one additional candle is lit by the shamash until all 8 candles are lit together on the final night of the festival. On Hanukkah, festivities including singing Hanukkah songs, playing the game of dreidel, and eating oil-based foods such as latkes, sufgania, and dairy foods. Since the 1970s, the worldwide Chabad Hasidic movement has initiated public menorah lightings in open public places in many countries. Although a relatively minor holiday in strictly religious terms, Hanukkah has attained major cultural significance in North America and elsewhere, especially among secular Jews, due to its occurring right at the same time as Christmas during the holiday season. Now, I'm going to ask a question. Really? Among secular Jews, because it occurs around Christmas. Is that the reason? No, it's not. It has far, far, far more significant meaning in Jewish culture. And then on top of that, that time has some of the most significant meaning in all written scripture because of something that is written in the book of Haggai, as I have gone over very, very often. I will get to the book of Haggai in a little while, but I'm going to scroll down a little bit through all this. Okay, it means to dedicate. So I want you to remember the 24th day, the month of Kislev, the 9th month, and remember the word to dedicate, okay? This is on Hanukkah, the Maccabean Jews regained control of Jerusalem and rededicated the temple. Many homiletic explanations have been given for the name. All right. So you'll read the story of Hanukkah is preserved in the book of the 1st and 2nd Maccabees, which describe in detail the rededication of the temple in Jerusalem and the lighting of the menorah. These books are not a part of the canonized Tanakh used by modern Jews, though they were included in the Greek Septuagint, whatever you call that, and the Roman Catholic Orthodox churches consider them canonical books of the Old Testament. All right. So, concerning why this happened. Here's the background story. Judea was a part of the Ptolemaic Kingdom of Egypt until 200 BCE when Antiochus III the Great of Syria defeated King Ptolemy V of Egypt. Now, when somebody puts Epiphanes besides their name, they put themselves on God level, as they say. Of Egypt in the Battle of Panium. Judea then became a part of the Seleucid Empire of Syria. And these were Grecian kings. As you recall, when you read in the book of Daniel, you read about the beast of bronze that had, what was it? There was 4, and 2 of them were Ptolemy and the Seleucid empires, but they were Grecian, and I'll get to that proof of that in just a minute. Okay, Antiochus III the Great wanted to conciliate his new Jewish subjects, guaranteeing their right to live according to their ancestral customs, and to continue their practice of their religion in the Temple of Jerusalem. However, in 175 BCE, Antiochus IV, the son of Antiochus III, invaded Judea at the request of the sons of Tobias, the Tobiads, who led the Hellenizing Jewish faction in Jerusalem. If you don't know what Hellenize or the Hellenes mean, you need to go and do some research. These were open-minded Greeks, and the secular Jews in those days were Hellenized. The sons of Tobias were Hellenized, and they asked, this is the reason why you have Hellenized Jews in, especially these days in the United States of America, that like to cause trouble with the Jews. Perfect example, Bernie Sanders. The Tobiads, who led the Hellenizing Jewish faction in Jerusalem, were expelled to Syria at around 170 BCE when the high priest Onias and his Egyptian faction wrestled control from them. The exiled Tobiads lobbied Antiochus IV, and like I said, to name yourself Epiphanes is putting yourself on, as they say, the God level. All right? To recapture Jerusalem, as Flavius Josephus relates, the king, being thereto disposed beforehand, complied with them, and came upon the Jews with a great army, and took their city by force, and slew a great multitude of those who favored Ptolemy, and sent out his soldiers to plunder them without mercy. And you can read about this in the book of Daniel. It talks about this. In fact, maybe I will go to the book of Daniel since I'm done with this. And hey, what happened to my internet? Hold on. It's connected. Let's try again. Okay, we're there. Now, where was I going to go? Daniel. Alright, so would it be in Daniel 9? I think so. I have to think about this for a minute here. This is Ahasuerus. Oh, let's see here. Oh, that's not it. Was it the next one? Prophecy of Persia and Greece. Overthrow of Persia, king of the south and the north. And I do believe we have this one. Yes, so we will go to Strong's Concordance, Daniel 11, and this talks about the first abomination of desolation. All right. King of the north and king of the south. Well, who was the king of the south? That was Egypt, or Ptolemy. Who was the king of the north? That was the Syrian Empire with Antiochus III. The king of the south shall be strong, and one of his princes, and he shall be strong above him, and have dominion. His dominion shall be a great dominion. In the end of years they shall join themselves together for the king's daughter of the south, and shall come to the king of the north to make an agreement, but she shall retain the power of the arm. She shall not retain the power of the arm, neither shall he stand nor his arm, but will be given up, and they that brought her and them that begat her, that strengthened her in those times. But out of a branch of her roots shall one stand up in his estate, and shall come with an army, and shall enter into the fortress of the king of the north, and shall deal against them, and shall prevail. And they shall carry captives into Egypt their idols with their princes, and with their precious silver and gold, and thus shall he continue more years than the king of the north. And so the king of the south shall come into his kingdom, and shall return into his own land. But his sons shall be stirred up, and shall assemble a multitude of great forces, and one shall certainly come and overflow and pass through, and then return and be stirred up even to his own fortress. And the king of the south shall be moved, or shall be bitter, and shall come forth and fight against him, even with the king of the north. And he shall set forth a great multitude, but the multitude shall be given into his hand. And when, you see, and so this is when Ptolemy is defeated, and Antiochus III takes over. The great multitude in his heart shall be lifted up, and he shall cast down many myriads, or ribo in Hebrew means myriads, and he shall be strong. It doesn't say he shall not be strengthened. It says he shall be strong, for the king of the north shall return and set forth a multitude greater than the former, and shall certainly come after certain years with a great army and with much riches. And in those times there shall many stand up against the king of the south, and also robbers of the folk shall exalt themselves to establish division, but they shall fall. So the king of the north shall come and cast up a mount, and take the most fenced cities, and the arms of the south shall not withstand, neither the choicest people. There will be no ability to withstand, but he shall come against them and do according to his own will, and none shall stand before him, and he shall stand in the glorious land, which by his hand shall be destroyed. He will also set his face to enter with the strength of his whole kingdom, and the upright ones with him, and shall he do. He shall give him the daughter of the women, see what that word is, corrupting her, to stand on his side, and after he shall set his face to the coastlands, and shall take many. But a prince for his own behalf shall cause reproach offered by him to cease without his own reproach, and shall return upon him. or just return. And he shall turn his face toward the fort of his own land, and he shall stumble his fall, and shall not be found. This goes into. I want to go to the tyranny of the Western king, or Antiochus IV. And the ships of Hitti shall come against him, and will be broken, and return and have indignation against the holy covenant. He shall do and return and have intelligence with them that forsake the holy covenant, or have discernment with those that forsook the holy covenant. Now, as you saw in here, where it talked about how the sons of Tobias, the Tobiads, the Hellenized Jewish faction in Jerusalem, because they were expelled to Syria around 170 BCE by the high priest Onias and his pro-Egyptian faction, the exiled Tobiads lobbied Antiochus IV to recapture Jerusalem, and we see what happens. This man murders, Antiochus IV murders thousands of Jews, but the Tobiads didn't care. So we read that the Tobiads did wickedly against the covenant by joining up with this Seleucid king, Antiochus IV. And they were corrupted by flatteries. But the people who know their Elohim, those were the Orthodox Jews, shall be strong and accomplish. And they that understand among the people shall instruct many. Yet many of those will fall by the sword, by flame, and by captivity, and by spoil for, it says, a day. Now, does that mean many days like it says in, it could mean an age. It could mean one day. It could be every day, perpetually. Who knows? Okay? Now when they fall, they will be helped with a little help, but many shall cleave to who with flatteries, to who with smoothness, because they just want to get along. Slippery paths, hypocrisy, flatteries, Hellenes, the Hellenes. So we have to this day even some Jews who were Hellenes. In the days of the Holocaust, they were called Kapos. K-A-P-O-S. Look it up. They sided with the Nazis against their own people. Well, the Hellenistic Jews were much like this. So those of you Jews who consider yourselves Hellenized Jews, you need to consider the consequences of your thinking and ultimately of your actions. To make them white even unto the time of the end, because it is yet for a time appointed. So as we see, righteous Jews, as opposed to Kapos, as opposed to Hellenistic Jews, were holocausted, were showed, century after century after century until the appointed time. What is the appointed time? I'll get there in just a minute. And he goes on to describe this Antiochus IV. He does according to his will, and he exalts himself. and magnifies himself. It does not say above, it says as a god. That's what he did. Okay? As an ale, and shall speak extraordinary things against the ale of ales, and shall prosper until the indignation be accomplished. Now, you need to understand that what the Romans did in 70 CE was essentially the same thing as what this man right here did. Indignation shall be accomplished, for that which is determined shall be done. To discern the ale of his fathers, the delight of women, nor regard any, he will magnify himself above all. So he will magnify himself above the idols of his forefathers, the idols of the women of the Hellenes, or any. That's what he did. In his estate he will honor the idol of fortresses. And the idol of fortresses, as I understand, it says an idol whom his fathers knew, doesn't say knew not. The idol of his fathers. See? So the idol of it. So if things do not match up, if they seem to contradict, then you got to understand that the translation here is a bit foggy. But he honored the idol of his fathers. Doesn't say one that his fathers knew not. Doesn't say that. Doesn't say not anywhere. He will honor with gold, silver, and with precious stones and pleasant things. And thus shall he do in the safety and protection with a foreign idol. Foreign to who? Foreign to the Jews. What idol was this? Zeus. Zeus was that idol of fortresses. Zeus was the idol that was strange to the Jews. Okay? Now, Rome did the same thing. And we go to chapter 9 of Daniel, of the book of Daniel, and you see the prophecy of 70 weeks. Now, all Christianity, every one of them, all of them, without exception, read this incorrectly. Where it says in verse 24, 70 weeks are determined upon your people and upon your holy city to finish the transgression and to make an end of sins and to make reconciliation for iniquity and to bring in everlasting righteousness and to seal up the vision and prophecy and to anoint the Kodesh. What is the Kodesh? The Kodesh is the Temple Mount. That's when the Temple Mount will be given back to whom it belongs to. Know therefore that from the going forth of the commandment to restore or to return, to build Jerusalem unto Messiah the Prince shall be 7 weeks. Has Messiah the Prince come yet? No, he has not. Not in the last days. So we move that one aside for a second. You see, Messiah the Prince is not Messiah the suffering servant. The Prince, the ruler, hasn't come. Remember when a man asks him to tell his brothers to give him his right and his inheritance? And he says, Yehoshua says, who made me ruler over you? Let's see if I can find it. I don't think I need this anymore. Luke 12, verse 14. This is to prove my point. Luke 12 and verse 14. And one of the company said unto him, Master, speak to my brother, and he divide the inheritance with me. And he said unto him, Man, who made me a judge or divider over you? All right? So, at his first coming that was prophesied in the book of Isaiah, where he was marred more than any man, was he the prince? Was he the ruler? As written right here. This word. Nagid. Leader, ruler, prince. He said no. So you cannot count those 7 weeks. So you have to move this aside and put it for later. And then there is 62 weeks, the street shall be built again and the wall. Does it say Jerusalem built? No, it does not. It just says the street and the wall in troublous times. And after 62 weeks, not after 62 plus 7, doesn't say that. It says after 62 weeks shall Messiah, which is the suffering servant, shall be cut off. Gotcha. I just destroyed the Christian narrative right here and right now concerning the 70 weeks. And the people of the prince that shall come to destroy the city. Well, what prince was that? That was Titus, the son of Vespasian, the ruler of Rome. Destroy the city and the sanctuary, and the end thereof shall be with a flood, and unto the end of the war desolation and judgment. Charatz means judgment. It's in there somewhere. A decree, a judgment, a decision. All right? And that prince shall confirm, they shall make firm a covenant with abundance. Does it say with Israel? No, it does not. Who said Israel? Cyril the Catholic did. Are you a Catholic? If you believe the Christian narrative, then you are a Catholic. You are a Hellene. I totally disagree with Cyril the Catholic. This was not a covenant with Israel. This was a covenant with his own legions for 1 week. The covenant was surround Jerusalem and starve them out for 7 years. Things did not go as planned. Things did not go well at all. The Jews vexed the Romans terribly, killed a bunch of them during the siege. So Titus lost control of his men, and Titus lost control of his desire to bring the entire temple into the Pantheon in Rome. Instead, it was all burned to the ground. Not one stone left on top of another. And in the midst of the week, he caused the sacrifice and oblation to cease, and for the overspreading of abominations, and made it desolate until it was consumed. And then it says, and that same decision will be poured out upon the desolate. Now, some believe, and I'll go along with it, that is talking about until it is time for the desolator to become desolate. I agree with that. All right? Now what I want to do is go back to Daniel. Yes, and okay, so I'm finished with that. Now, let's go to Haggai 2. Remember what we read in that calendar? 24th day. In the 24th day of the 9th month of the 2nd year of Darius came the word of Jehovah by Haggai the prophet, saying, Thus saith Jehovah of hosts, ask now the priest concerning the Torah. If one bears holy flesh in the skirt of his garment, and with his skirt do touch bread or pottage or wine or oil or any meat, shall it be holy? And the priest answered and said, No. Then said Haggai, If one is unclean by a dead body, and you touch any of these, this holy food, shall they be unclean? And the priest answered and said, Yes, it shall be unclean. Then answered Haggai and said, So is this people, and so is this nation before me, saith Jehovah. And so is every work of their hand, which is they offer me, is unclean. Now set this day and upward from when not yet the first stone was laid upon a stone in the temple of Jehovah. It was on the 24th day of the 9th month. That marks the day. He said the 24th day of the 9th month. Before a stone was laid in the temple of Jehovah, since those days, to go in a heap of 20 measures, are now 10. And when one came to the press fat to draw out 50 out of the wine press, there was only 20. You were smitten with blasting, with mildew, and with hail in all your labors of your hand. And it says, yet you turn not, or doesn't say, yet you turn not unto me. It just says, utters Jehovah. Consider, or put into place, this day. So that's the reason, that's the real reason we set that day, the 24th day of the 9th month, when it all begins. And upward from the 24th day of the 9th month, because he said so. But why did he say so? From the day that the foundation of Jehovah's temple was laid. Said it. He says it over and over and over and over again. Why? Why set that day? Why remember that day? It says, on that day, he's going to bless them. That day is the blessing. What blessing is that day? Verse 20. And again the word of Jehovah came unto Haggai in the 24th day of that month, of the 9th month, saying, speak to Zerubbabel, governor of Yehudah, saying, I will shake the heavens and the earth. I will overthrow the thrones of the kingdoms, and I will destroy the strength of the kingdoms of the Gentiles, of the Goi. And I will overthrow the chariots and those that ride in them, and the horses, or warbirds. I will overthrow the warbirds. And their riders shall all come down, every one by the sword of his brother. In that day, what day was that? 24th day of the 9th month is the marker. Hanukkah. Says Jehovah of hosts, I will take you, Zerubbabel, my servant, the son of Shealtiel, says Jehovah, and I will make you as a sign. The word Zerubbabel means born in Babylon. They were unclean because they were living in Babylon. Look, Zerubbabel means begotten in Babylon. You can see it right there. All right? Give me a second. My servant Shealtiel, says Jehovah, I will make you as a sign to choose, says Jehovah. When does this take place? Well, we know that the 24th day of the 9th month, the Hellenized people do not know. And quite frankly, I'm not sure that the Orthodox Jews know this. But you do now, if you're listening to this video. That sign. They were unclean. Why? And after these things I saw another messenger come out of the sky, having great power. And the earth was lit by his glory, and he cried mightily with a strong voice, saying, Babylon the great is fallen, is become the habitation of devils, and the hold of every foul spirit, and a cage of every unclean and hateful bird, for all the Gentiles. There's no way of getting around it. I've done this over and over again. All the Gentiles have drunk of the wine of the wrath of her fornication. And the kings of the earth have committed fornication with her, and the merchants of the earth are waxed rich through the abundance of her delicacies. And then I heard another voice from the sky saying, "Come out of her, my people." Who is this my people? And if you're going to be raptured, as the Ecclesia claims, then what is the point of saying, "Come out of her, my people"? This is literal, folks. This is literal leaving. Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins. So staying there in the land of the Hellenes, including the United States of America, to a Jew would make them partakers of the great whore's sins. The great whore, Ecclesia, Rome. This, recognize her? You think it's Lady Liberty, don't you? With a crown on her head and a golden cup in her hand? This is actually Ecclesia, representing Rome, the great whore. Come out of her, my people, that you be not partakers of her sins, that you receive not of her plagues. Because her sins have reached unto the sky, they have piled up to the sky. And look around you, and oh my, how they have piled up to the sky. You know, a society, a people, that deem themselves the most civilized are actually the most depraved. Take a look around you and tell me it is not true. Reward unto her as she rewarded you. Do to her as she did to her. And give to her double according to her works in that cup which she has filled. Fill to her double. That's right, fill to her cup double. Make her drink of wrath on her own self, not against somebody else. How much she has glorified herself and lived deliciously, so much torment and sorrow. Give to her. For her, she says in her heart, I sit as a queen with that great big crown on her head. Oh, and by the way, this is Duomo Milan in Italy. I sit as a queen and am no widow. I shall see no sorrow. People live today as if nothing is going to happen, as if they've got a secure future. Well, there is no future in the Hellenized world of Europe, Russia, Turkey, United States of America, and all of those Hellenized countries. There is no future. The future is dimness and destitution. Her plague shall come in one day, death, mourning, and famine. She shall be utterly burned with fire. Why? Because they besieged Jerusalem. They caused mourning, starvation, and death upon the Jews in Jerusalem. And then they magnified themselves. They magnified themselves over synagogue. So it must be done to her according to the way she did to synagogue. For strong is Jehovah Elohim who judges her. So pay attention to these times, especially during Hanukkah, because you never know what's around the corner.